All right, Dustin's up first. He says, hey there, I saw that Google made some changes in all of the GMB listings. Now you have to add all of the areas your business is serving. You cannot just say 30 miles anymore. Is there a way to bulk add all of the areas the business is serving? Because one by one is a pain in the ass. Yeah, as far as I know, you can name it by either zip code, or you can do it by city or by county. So and again, this is new. This has all happened within the last week. And I've been in playing around with different configurations, because sometimes with an existing listing, if it's a service area business, Google will strip the address right from the listing under the new dashboard, right? Under the new GMB dashboard, Google will strip the address right out of the listing. And so it'll show in the info tab in GMB, it'll show add address, like the pencil icon, and it says add address. Well, if you go in and try to add an address to a service area business, that can trigger re-verification. At least that's what some of the people in our group have reported. Fortunately, I haven't done that yet. What I'm doing is on the listings that had the business address stripped from it, where it doesn't even exist anymore in the listing, in the GMB listing itself. That's fine. It doesn't bother me, because now it's the service area. You can go in and set the service area. So depending on, I guess, Dustin, you've probably got a large service area. So what I would suggest you do is just go in and try to add the service area based upon county or city, right? That's going to be a lot. So for example, and the reason I've been working on this stuff forever, but or a lot recently, but let me just show you what I mean. Where are we? We're in Georgia. You guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Correct.
All right, let me show you what I mean. So here's one that I was just creating some process training for the accountability group, that what we were just talking about. And so I was doing some location research training, which is this right here, location research training. This is the process doc I just developed for our group. And you can see that for Memphis, guys, in fact, let me click into there. So this shows Memphis covers 63 zip codes. Could you imagine? Well, now, by the way, if you extract all this data and you get rid of all the unique and PO box ones that show zero population, it comes out to be, it's roughly 23 zip codes. So 23 zip codes in Memphis, Tennessee. You're right. That would be a complete bitch. It would suck to have to go in and add 23 individual zip codes. So instead, you should be able to just go in and type in Memphis, and it will cover the whole area of Memphis, all of the zip codes. Does that make sense? So, I mean, that's just an example of how you would do it. So that's the way I'm doing it. Now, the way that I'm doing it, because we're targeting on a hyper local level now, is I'm actually going in and just adding the zip code for the area that we've got the physical location in, or perhaps a very small radius. How do I do that? Well, over at freemaptools.com, which is this site here, you see where it says find zip codes inside of a radius. Click on that, and then you could do something like just a 5-mile radius if you're staying hyper local, or 10-mile, whatever. But 5-mile radius is typically how I'm doing it, because I'm trying to secure as many GMB assets in a metro area as possible. And so when I have them spread out, I only need a very, very small service area for the edges of those service areas to overlap, if that makes sense. So I end up with full coverage of the entire metro area with just a handful of listings. Right? And you can do that by just coming here and adding that in. And for example, like if I wanted to, I could come in here and just grab, let's say, this zip code, 38109. I would come back over here and type in 38109. I would click draw radius. And now right there, you'll see there's the 3 zip codes that I would add for that particular GMB listing. If I had a GMB listing in the 38109 109 zip code area, then I only wanted to target a 5-mile radius, which you can see what that radius is right here. I could zoom out a little bit, and you can see that that covers, looks like the southwest side of Memphis, right? So that's only a 5-mile radius, but that's pretty significant. And I could scroll down here, and I could grab these 3 zip codes now and add those 3 zip codes into the GMB dashboard for my targeting at my service area. Does that make sense? And then you repeat that process again for each one of the listings that you have within a metro area. And if you've got one full metro area, like I said, that where you're targeting in all of it, your service area is being targeted from one location, then I would recommend that you just add that city name or even the county names as well. And again, zip-codes.com will show you what the county name is for each one of the zip codes too. So it might be easier for you just to come in and add county names. All right. That was a little bit more hands-on training than we typically do on a hump day hangout.
Yeah. Also, just to add to this, Dustin, you shouldn't be the one doing all of this.
That's right.
You should have a VA that you can tell, look, I need this updated. This is the process. Go get it done.
That's right. And that's exactly what I'm, I mean, for 3 weeks now, I've been working on developing process docs like this, which just teaches my VAs how to, I've got a VA who's really fucking good. His name's Joe. He's really good. And, but he's never done any of this kind of work before. And I've, basically taught him how to start with a brand new verified GMB profile and optimize it completely, build the ad ID pages, do all the stuff that we do, even set up the GMB auto poster, schedule out 31 posts for republishing every 30 days, all of that stuff. And he's like, somebody's never done any of this stuff. And he's got the training and the process docs now to do all of that. Now, it sucks because I just developed all these for 3 weeks. I've been working on all this shit. And just last week, they changed the GMB dashboard. So I have to go back and redevelop those process docs now because the formatting has changed. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the nature of doing this. It kind of sucks because they're never complete when you create a process training one time. It's never done, right? You can always go back and refine it. And that's what I was talking about. So I've got to go back and do that again to update the processes for optimizing and now setting service areas and all of that. All that has to be updated, which I'll be working on next week. So, but that's what I'm talking about. Marco said what he said is exactly correct, is, get the hell out of your own way. If I had to try, if it were up to me to secure and optimize 50 GMB profiles in the next 12 weeks, and I was doing all the work, it wouldn't get done. Right. And be realistic, guys. How many of you would actually do it if you had to do the work yourself over the next 12 weeks? Would you really do it? Most of you might have intentions and say, oh, yeah, I could do that. But you won't, is my point. I mean, the vast majority of you wouldn't, right? And I'm not saying that to pick on anybody. It's true. It's tedious. It's hard. We get bored with it, right? If we don't see results immediately, we get bored with it. But that's why you should fall in love with the process and not the result, right? And I mean, we've heard that. That's cliche, but that's exactly the truth. Like, if you focus in on doing the process that will end up bringing results, and you fall in love with that, then the results will come. It's just a matter of time. And so if you've got this process developed where you can train, have a team of virtual assistants, either one or many, doing the work for you, then it's going to get done, right? And the process is being completed, which will produce results. It's just a matter of continually being tenacious, just constantly completing the process, and not being distracted by other shiny objects, right? And that's really been a problem for me too in my own business over the years. And that's part of the reason why I have not systematized everything in my business, is because I always get distracted, and it's a lot easier sometimes just to do the work yourself than it is to create training to teach somebody else how to do it. You know what I mean? I'm sure all of you can relate to that. But once you do develop the training, then you don't have to do it anymore. That frees your time up to do other things, right? So, and that's really what Semantic Mastery is all about now, guys, is trying to teach you guys how to create a business where it's not reliant upon you and your effort to make money, to generate revenue.